starting by Unit 1, and each unit here including lessons about real number of system. Here you have lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All of them talking about the real numbers, rational, irrational numbers, all of them including in this chart. This chart having the real numbers, which including irrational union the rational number. The irrational having the symbol Q dash, the rational having the symbol Q. Q union Q dash give you the real number. What about Q dash? What about Q and the meaning of each of them? That's what I will take you. Here a tour in Q dash and Q. Q dash talking about the not perfect square or cube roots. If you have a square root that don't have a result or cube root that don't have a result, or having a result that's not perfect, you can say it's irrational number. Or the non-repeating decimals, the 0.23547 non-repeating numbers or many non-consecutive numbers, it will be irrational. And here the irrational number. But the rational number is the set of numbers that in the form of A over B, and we call them the non-integer number. Or it could be integer, integer means z, and the z numbers means the integer which is negative, positive, or zero. Negative numbers, zero, union positive numbers give you the integers which is z, and all of them called rational. Then, if you have questions of choose or complete, talking about the rational or irrational numbers, you can have a question in choose asking about the irrational number that lies between 3 and 4. Here the 3 is integer, 4 is integer, but he needs the irrational number included between them. You can't choose 3.5 because here 3.5 is a rational, it's a decimal, and the decimal is an integer which in the form of A over B. 1 over 8 also having the form of A over B, so we have to choose between square root of 13 and the square root of 20. The right answer will be square root of 13, because if you make sure from your calculator, find that the root 13 located between 3 and 4, and root 20 is greater than 4, so the right answer will be root 13. Also, if you make the 3 powered by 2, it will be 9. 4 powered by 2, it will be 16. Between 9 and 16, you have a number which is 13, not 20. So here, the square root of 9, the square root of 13, the square root of 16, so we choose the square root of 13. You can answer it by many ways. Here, he can ask you about the union or the intersection between the two sets. Q union Q dash give you the real numbers, because all the rational adding to all the irrationals give you the real numbers, but they never intersect each other. There is nothing common between the rational and the irrational. They are different, so the answer will be 5. Nothing in common here. About the cube root, if you have cubic root of 8x powered by 3, it's example from the lesson 1. The cubic root of 8 is 2, so you write the 2 here. The cubic root of x powered by 3, the root flies the power to be x. Here x powered by 3 means x multiplied by x multiplied by x. The cube root of x powered by 3 will be x. Number 5, he gives you an equation that's including between two brackets, which is 2x plus 1, all of them powered by 3. The power here including up this number, and it's equal 27. He needs to find the solution set in Q. You must read very well the solution set in Q or Q dash or real numbers. The answer will be different if you have another thing. If it was Q, you must choose the answer which is including in Q. Number 5, here you have an equation which is 2x plus 1 including between brackets all powered by 3, it's equal 27. He needs the solution set in Q. You must be, attention, if you have here Q, Q dash, R, the answer will be different. So you answer this equation using Q. 2x plus 1 all powered by 3 equal 27. If you have here take the cubic root of the two parts. And then 2x plus 1 will be, the answer of cubic root of 27 is 3. And you solve the equation like you studied before. Move plus 1 to the other part to be minus 1. Then 2x will be 3 minus 1, 2. If the value of 2x is 2, by dividing by 2, you get the value of x is 1. If the value of the x is 1, you check. If 1 here belongs to q or q dash or what, it's belonging to q, and he asked him if the answer belongs to q or not. Yes, he said the solution set in q is, so the solution set between brackets, you write 1. That's the answer, it will be 1. If it was q dash, you write the answer is 5. Number 6 give you the real number which is positive, and union 0, union the negative real numbers. All of them give you the real numbers. So you can say the real numbers equal q union q dash, or you can say r positive union 0 union r negative. The solution set here of the set x powered by 2 plus 9, it's equal 0. If you write the solution set of x powered by 2 plus 9 equals 0, you have to see if it was belonging r, belonging q, belonging q dash. Here he said it's belonging to r. If the answer belongs to r, you have x powered by 2 plus 9 equals 0. Move 9 outside to be negative, then it's x powered by 2 equal negative 9. If x powered by 2 equal negative 9 and you need to find the value of x, you must take the square root, because here it's powered by 2. Square root of negative 9 is refused answer, and you can't say positive or negative out here. No, it will be wrong. Here x will be don't having an answer, it's square root of negative 9, nothing under the square root will be negative. If it was refused, you will write the solution set is 5, because nothing means square root of negative, nothing negative. Then about exercise 1 and the idea of complete and choose. Exercise 2 about proving if a rational, irrational number lies between any two numbers. He needs to prove that root 3 lies between 1.7 and 1.8. To prove that using a number, using your calculator to find root 3, if you have root 3, make all of them powered by 2. Root 3 powered by 2, it will be 3. And also make this one powered by 2, this one powered by 2. Check them using your calculator, you will find that 1.7 powered by 2 give you 2.89. 1.8 all powered by 2 will give you 3.24. Check the three numbers you get. If you find the root 3, which is equal 3 after powering it, if the 3 located between the two numbers 2.89 and 3.24, yes, the 3 is a rational number which is located between them. Then if the 3 located between these two numbers, also the irrational number, root 3, located between the 1.7 and 1.8 before making it using the power by 2. And you can check this using your calculator. Lesson 6, talking about the interval. The intervals is not a set. Here, the real numbers are open brackets here between the negative infinite and the positive infinite. The open brackets here means what? The interval between all the negative numbers, and at the end you go to reach to all the infinite numbers in the positive. All of them are infinite. Positive or negative are infinite. Means the real numbers, negative infinite and positive infinite, and between them you have many rational and irrational numbers written. The r positive or the positive numbers, including the 0 and infinite positive. But the 0, when we write it, we make it open because the 0 is not positive. And here we can say that the 0 is neither positive nor negative numbers. Then you can have the 0 open brackets, and here infinite positive number, and all the time the infinite are open. The opened because the 0 is not belonging to the positive. Also, the 0 is not belonging to the negative numbers, so we can say that the 0 is opened interval. About choose and complete questions. You have an interval which is closed between 2 and 7. It's not meaning the element 2 and 7. It means all the interval between 2 and 7. All the rational or the irrational number included between them. But this one, using this brackets, means only the 2 and 7 element. He said the difference between these two things, the interval 2 and 7, difference, the elements or the set of 2 and 7, means we don't have the 2 and 7 in this interval. If you don't have the two elements, make the bracket open like that and write the interval 2 and 7, but you write it opened. I make that open because the 2 is not belonging to the interval, the 7 is not belonging to the interval. This is closed interval, this one closed interval, but this one is half closed, half opened. Half closed means 3 belong to this interval and the 8 is not belonging to the interval. He asked you to make union between the two intervals 0 and 5, union 3 and 8. Means the 0 is included, make the interval closed, starting from 0 and go to reach to the 8, but the 8 is out of this interval, means that the 8 will be opened. Then between 0 to 8, from here to here, you have all the elements, but the 8 is opened because here the 8 is not belonging to this interval. The intersection means something in common between the two intervals. The first interval is 1 and 5. From 1 to 5, here you have all the numbers and rational and irrational between them. Intersecting -2 opened, 2, 3 closed. The -2 here, when it's open, means the element -2 does not exist. 2 the 3. The intersection between 1, 5 and -2 and 3 means here 1 including, yes, 1 including, 1 is closed. Start from 1 to reach to 2, 3, and all the elements including between them are exist. But after 3 you don't have numbers, so you can write 1 closed to reach to 3, and the 3 will be also closed because here 3 belonging to this interval and also belonging to this interval. He said the intersection, so we can't continue after 3. Just write 1 and 3 closed interval. Another type of question in this lesson is find each of the following if you have the interval of x and the interval of y. The interval of x is closed, -1 and 4. The interval of y is half closed, half open, because it's from 3 to the infinite positive numbers. And he asked about x union y. First of all, you have to draw the number line and represent the x and y. Set x between -1, 2, 4, and all of them are closed. So here the red one, which is x, here -1 to 4. And the set y from 3 closed to infinite positive, so here it's to the end of the positive numbers. If we make union between the x and y, means you have to say or to mention all of these things between x and y to the end. Union starting from -1. If -1 was closed, write it closed. If it was opened, write it opened. And after -1, go to reach at the end of the y to be infinite positive. All the time the infinite positive or negative will be open. The intersection means the common part between the x and y, and the common part here is only the space between the 3 and 4, but not the 3 and 4 only. Here this part between 3 and 4 is the intersection between x and y. So we can write 3 closed, but use this closed bracket. 2, 4, also it's a closed bracket. And never use the set like that. No, it will be wrong. X difference y means element which is exist in x and not exist in y. Exist in x and not exist in y. Here you have the x starting from here. So all these parts exist in x and exist in x only, not exist in y, so you reach here. From here, the y started. So just write the part from here to here, from -1 to only the 3. So we have tried the elements exist in x, -1 closed or open? Yes, like you said, it's -1 closed. And then you reach to the 3. But the 3 here is including in y. I said I need the elements which exist in x and not exist in y. Not exist in y, the 3 is existing in y. So the 3 is not existing in y. In x, we make it open, not closed, because he said not exist in y. That's it about lesson 6. Another part related to lesson 6 is lesson 11. It's solving equations and inequalities in R. I talked about this because all of these parts talking about real numbers, and also we will use the number line here. He needs to find the solution set of the inequality in R. As I said before, the R means all the numbers, Q and Q dash. 3x plus 7, including here between -2 and 10. To solve this equation, you have to move the numbers which including beside the x. If you move the 7 to the right side and to the left side, both of them, to make them negative here and negative here. -2 will be -7. Also 10 will be -7. To have here 3x, the 3x here, not the value of x. And this one will be -9. If you have -9, because -2 minus 7 equal -9. And here 10 minus 7 will be 3. The 3x is not the value of x, divide them by 3. You have to divide all of them by 3. When you divide all of them by 3, you will get that -9 divided by 3 is -3. And 3 divided by 3, 1, then you have the value of x. 3 divided by 3 equal 1. If you have the x included between 2 here, inequalities here to write it using the solution set, open and closed brackets, how to decide which, if it was closed or open. If you have here the sign without equal sign, make it open. If the sign was with the equal sign, make it closed. Then here, the -3 with you or not with you, it will be open. If it was equal mean it's with you, so it will be closed, right? The one is closed. The x including between -3 and 1. And then don't forget to represent this on the number line. You must take a mark about it. So the -3 is open, make a circle which is not shaded, 2, 1, and the circle is shaded here. Then you have the solution set of this inequality. Another exercise, letter B, when you have 1 minus 2x, the sign of the 2 here is negative. When you have to move the number, just move the number, not moving the other number which is beside the x. Here the 1 is positive, move positive 1 here to be negative, and move it here to be also negative. But don't forget here you have its absolute value of -7. Then here you have 1. To move this one, -1, copy the sign, and then you have -2x. Less than the 7th, you will make it also -1. The result of this one will be here 0, and here it will be 6. If you have 0 and 6, and you have to divide it by -2, when you divide any inequality by any negative number, this signs must be looking to the other side. So you decide to divide by -2 here, all of them divided by -2, and then write the answer, but here, this side, flip it to the other part. Then here, 0 divided by -2, it will be 0. And the sign, move it to this part. Here you have x, and here 6 divided by -2, it will be -3, but don't forget to move the sign. Then you have the x located between 0 and -3. Then the solution set, you write it, open and closed. If you have it 0, But the negative 3 is the smallest, write it first. Negative 3, open or closed? Yes, it's open like we said. And 0 is closed because here you have equal sign, and here it said take it with you. Then represent it in the number line, and you know how to represent the number line. You can represent it by yourself and check you answered. 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Don't forget, if it was open, make it not shaded circle, and the 0 will be shaded and join between them. It's the interval or the answer of this part. The other one is inequality, but here you have x minus 2 greater than 3. Move the x minus 2 to the other part here to be plus 2. X greater than 3 plus 2 means the x is greater than 6. If x is greater than 6 means the solution set will be, you don't know the numbers, but he said all the number which is greater than 6. Or the number which is greater than 6, it could be 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on, all the positive numbers. All the time, start the interval with the smallest number. So you write 6 at the beginning. If you don't have an equal sign here, make it open to infinite positive, and the infinite positive will be open. When you make the number line, move it like that, and write 1, 2, 3, and so on to the end. Here it's infinite positive. Just make it here open and move it to the side of the infinite positive numbers. That's all about the interval, and here we talk about the interval, and also the inequality equations in R. They are related to each other. You use the interval using the number line, all of them related together. That's about lesson 6 and lesson 11. And excuse this part. Here, this operation about lesson 7, I said lesson 6 and lesson 11 together. Excuse me. Lesson 7, here is the operation on real numbers. The operation on real numbers, just the real numbers you studied before, how to make the relation between them. We have some rules to remember. First, any real number added to its additive inverse, and the additive inverse means if it was positive will be negative, and if it was negative will be positive. Any positive number added to its negative number, the answer will be 0. Also, don't forget that the additive neutral element is 0, because if you add 0 to any number, it will be also the same number and not changing the result. But the multiplicative neutral element is 1. The multiplicative neutral means the number which you can multiply by 1 and the answer will not change, or the number you can multiply by 1 and the answer will not change. Number 3 is talking about the rules of multiplication by inspection, and you studied it in Prep 1. Here, between brackets you have a minus b, and between brackets you have a plus b. The sum and difference between the two here, a and b, means here if you have negative and positive and having the same two numbers included, you have to make the square of first minus the square of second. And this minus sign or negative sign, because here you have negative and positive sign, are different. So it will be a barred by 2 minus b barred by 2. But if you have all barred by 2 and the sign here is positive or negative, they having the same steps, the square here will be, if you have two elements and all barred by 2 means the answer will having 3 terms. Means a barred by 2, it will be square of first and square of second, which is b barred by 2, and the middle term here 2ab means what? 2 times first times second. Square of first, square of second, 2 times first times second. And use the sign of the middle term in the bracket included here. If it was positive, write it positive. If it was negative, write it negative like we have here. Examples about that. Complete or choose comes in anyways. He asked the simplest form of the expression. Here you have bracket and another bracket just having different signs like this means it's about the first case, which is a minus b, a plus b, means it's a powered by 2 minus b powered by 2. Square of first means root 3 powered by 2 minus square of second, which is root 2 powered by 2. And then write the answer of each one. Root 3 all powered by 2, excuse me, it will be 3 minus root 2 all powered by 2, it will be 2. And the 3 minus 2 will give you 1, means the answer is 1. Letter B, the additive inverse of negative root 3 minus root 5 is. The additive inverse means to change the sign between them. Means you have to change the sign of the first term and change the sign of the second term. If the first term is negative number, it will be positive, means you have to write root 3 or positive root 3. And here it will be positive root 5, just inverse of the sign. If it was negative, make it positive. If it was positive, make it negative. But the multiplicative inverse having another rule, you have to make it the numerator up and the numerator down. Upside down for this one, the 6 will be up and root 3 will be down. So it will be 6 over root 3. You can't leave the answer like that because you can't have root in the denominator. It's a rule. So make the denominator as an integer. All the time you have the denominator having the root, make it an integer. By multiplying root 3 up and root 3 down. Multiplying the root which is in the denominator up and down. And then multiply the numerators together, the denominators together. 6 times root 3, it will give you 6 root 3 over root 3 multiplied by root 3 means 3. And then don't leave this answer like that. If it was choose, you will not find 6 root 3 over 3. You must put it in the simplest form. 6 divided 3, it will be 2. And beside it, put root 3. Then the answer will be 2 root 3. I give it to you as a complete question, but you can have it as complete or choose anything. Letter D, having an idea about the rectangle. The perimeter of a rectangle is of dimension root 5 plus 3 and 3 minus root 5. They are the same, but including different sign. The root 5 here is positive and the root 5 here is negative. The 3 is positive and the 3 is positive, just the bracket having a different sign. The perimeter of rectangle means length plus width times 2. The dimensions here are length and width. So here you have to make this bracket this bracket added to this bracket and multiply them by 2. So when you add the two brackets together, just make root 5 plus 3 plus the other bracket, which is write the 3 negative root 5 and then write the answer. Here root 5 and negative root 5 can fly together because here they are additive inverse to each other and their sum is 0. So here we don't have root 5 in the answer, just have 3 plus 3. 3 plus 3 equals 6. So here you have the 6 is not the result, it's the sum between the length and width. We say the rectangle, its perimeter means the sum between length and width multiplied by 2. Don't forget to multiply by 2. So the final result will be 12. 6 times 2, it will be 12. And the perimeter here is 12. Another exercise, exercise 2, to find in the simplest form. If you have square of the bracket of this number, all of it powered by 2. Root 3 powered by 2 plus root 7 powered by 2, it's not meaning that you have 2 terms only. If you have it powered by 2, means the answer will be having 2 terms of these one and a middle term. The first term, like I said in the case, square first means root 3 powered by 2. Square of second, leave a space for the middle term, and the square of second means root 7. It's positive root 7 by 2. The sign here, if it was positive, put a positive sign. 2 times first times second means 2 times root 3 times root 7. And then write the answers of each of them. This one will be the middle term, and this one first and the third term. Root 3 divided by 2 will give you 3 plus 2 root 10 root 21, excuse me. 3 times 7 is 21, then 2 root 21 plus here 2 is the 2 of the root 7 means root 7 all divided by 2 give you 7. And add the like term together and leave the other term. Means 3 plus 7 is 10. And the other term is 2 root 21. And the root 2 root 21 here, you don't add it to the 10 because here they are unlike terms. So just leave the answer like that. 10 plus root 21. Another idea is talking about different two brackets here. 2x minus 3 and another one 3x plus 7. Also the answer will be 3 terms because here they are different brackets. The idea will be making the first term multiplied by the first term. First times first means 2x times 3x. 2x times 3x give you 6x divided by 2. Leave a space for the middle term and then make multiplied by the second times second. Negative 3 times positive 5. Negative 3 times positive 5 give you negative 15. It's the last of the third term. The middle term means here you have to write the means, the product of means plus the product of extremes. Negative 3 times 3x, it will be negative 9x. 2x times positive 5, it will be positive 10x. If you have positive 10x and negative 9x, add them together, 10x minus 9x or plus negative 9x, it will be positive x in the middle. Then the answer here, it will be 6x divided by 2 plus x minus 15. And here you wrote 6x divided by 2 plus x. You can't add them together. We are unlike term, so leave it using 3 terms like that. That about the operations on the real numbers. The operations can be specified in the square root and cube root. Lesson 8 talking about operations on square roots. The operations on square roots means you have 3 rules here. The first rule told you that if you have a root of a number multiplied by a root of another number, means you have to make multiply the root a, means multiply root a multiplied by root b, a and b multiplied together to give you a result. As an example, root 3 multiplied by root 12, 3 times 12 give you 36. If the answer is here a number, write the number. If it's not perfect square, you can leave it under the square root sign. So here root 36 give you 6, write the 6. This operation can be done in the multiplication or the divide. The divide can be distributed using the numerator and denominator. Root a over root b, you can distribute the square root sign up and down to make the two numbers here up and down, a and b as a fraction. For example, here if you have root 15 over root 3, you can distribute the square root up for the 15 and 3. 15 divided by 3 give you 5. If the 15 and 3 give you a result, give the result here to write it. As I said here, if the root 36 give you a number, it will be 6. But if it's not perfect, it will be root 5. Just leave the root 5. If you have root a over root b and the two numbers a and b don't have an answer, so if you don't have the answer of dividing a and b together like that, 15 divided by 3 give you 5. But here, if you have two numbers like that, 2 and 5, we can't divide 2 by 5. Just use the rule of multiplying the denominator here by itself, root 5 over root 5. Square root of root 5 multiplied together in numerator and denominator to give you the result. Root 2 times root 5 give you root 10. And the root 5 multiplying by itself give you the number itself, which is 5. Root 5 times root 5 give you 5. Then that's the rule of this lesson. And also we have the conjugate in this square root. Conjugate of it, the two conjugate of the two numbers means if you have two roots beside them, between them a sign, which is negative or positive, whatever, the conjugate between them will be root 3 plus root 2. Just to change the sign between them. If it was negative, make it positive. They are two conjugate to each other. They are conjugate means like twins. Twins, just the sign is different. Their sum and their product we will use in the questions. Their sum will be, if you have root 3 plus root 3, give you 2 root 3. And negative root 2 is inverse with the root 2 fly together, so just the sum will be 2 root 3. Their product means here you have two brackets having the same numbers but don't have the same sign. Square first minus square second. Root 3, this one is the result of root 3 powered by 2 minus root 2 powered by 2, which is 3 minus 2 is here 1. To find the value in the simplest form, I just gave you one example and you can solve another example from the school book. It's here root 50 minus root 8 plus 2 root half minus root 18. All of them are square root and you have to check that because of here in the other lesson you have cube root. Check the 50. We will not have an answer, it's not perfect square. So the 50 you can separate it into two numbers, one of them having the square root and the other is not. All of them are even, so we can try by multiplying by 2. The 25 having the root which is 5, we take it out. And under the root we put the 2. So here we solve all of them like that. Root 50 means 25 times 2. You can divide all of them by 2 to know what's the two numbers give you the result. And the 8 make it 4 times 2. Make sure that the 4 having a square root, yes, it's having a square root which is 2, we take it out. But here the fraction, don't forget that 2 multiplied by the square root, 2 multiplied by root 1 over root 2. Root 1 and root 2, you can multiply by root 2 up, root 2 down to give you a result here more simple. And the 18, make it 9 times 2. Because 9 having a square root which is 3 and here drop the 2. All of them are like term because here under the square root we have 2, all of them are 2, means square roots are like term. Take the numbers together, 5 and 2 make minus, 5 minus 2 is 3, but drop root 2 down here. Here when you have the 2 up, root 1 multiplied by root 2, it will be root 2. But in the denominator, root 2 multiplied by root 2 is 2. By simplifying them together, 2 divided by 2 will give you 1. So the second term will be just root 2, which is here means having 1 root 2. And 1 is not written. Negative, the 3 root 2, take it down. If you have two roots like terms and they have different sign, here it's positive and here is negative, or you can say another way that 3 plus 1, take the numbers together, minus 3. The result will be that here, minus, here, instead of that, fly the 3 with the 3, it will be 0. And the only number remaining is the one beside the root 2. So here the answer 1 root 2, or you can say root 2 only. Another type of question in the conjugate, or the most repeating type, is to prove that x and y are two conjugates. He gives you value of x and value of y, and he needs to prove that they are two conjugates to each other. If you have the value of x, just give the value of the y, you have the value of y, just give the value of x, and prove that it's conjugate with the y. After that, he asks you to find the value of x plus y adding together. Take the x and write it as it. It's 2 over 3 plus root The conjugate of 3 plus change it to be minus. And the minus here, up and down, don't forget. The 2 here, it's just making multiply by the first, multiply by the second. 2 multiplied by 3 give you 6. It's about only the numerator. 3 multiplied by root 7, so 2 multiplied by root 7, it will be 2 root 7. It's the numerator 6 minus 2 root 7, and don't make minus between these two, they are unlike term. And the here multiplying, or the product of these two conjugates, as I said here, the product of any two conjugates means the difference between the two square of them. Root 3, here the 3 all part by 2, 3 part by 2, minus root 7 part by 2. The 3 part by 2 give you 9, and root 7 part by 2 give you 7. Means the denominator is an integer, and that's what we want. 6 minus 2 root 2, leave it as it, and 9 minus 7 will give you 2. 6 minus 2 root 7 over 2 means divide the whole operation by 2. The 6 is divided by 2, and also the 2 is divided by 2. Then the remaining number will be here 3 minus 2 minus root 7. So it will be 3 minus root 7. The 3 minus root 7 is really a conjugate of 3 plus root 7. If the x is 3 minus root 7 and the y is 3 plus root 7, they have different sign, then they are two conjugates, and that's what you need to prove. And then add the two elements together like we studied in the real numbers. 3 minus root 7 is the value of x, and substitute in of y plus 3 plus root 7, and then remove the root 7 with negative root 7, they giving you 0, they additive inverse to each other. And the remaining two numbers adding together, the 3 plus 3 give you 6. And that's a very important question to answer. Lesson 9, it's the operation on the cube root. The same rules, but here it's all cube root. Cube root of A multiplied by cube root of B means you can multiply the cube root of both of them, cube root of A and B, multiply A and B together. Also, in the divide, you can make the same way by distributing the cube root up and down for the numerator and the denominator. In this question, find in the simplest form, you can have both of the cube root and the square root in one question. So you have to be attention if it was square root or cube root. Square root of 18 plus cubic root of 54 minus 3 root 2 minus cubic root of 16. You have to solve each one alone separated. If you solve the cube root, you have to solve it using a number having a cube root and the other is not. If you solve the square root, a number which is having a square root and the other is not. All of them are even numbers, so all of them can be in table 2. If you multiply the 9 by 2, you will have the result, which is 18. The 18 here means the 9 multiplied by 2. The 9 having a square root and the 2 is not. Take the 9, the square root of 9 out, it will be 3. And take the root under the 2. The cubic root of 54, you have to make it a number which is having a cube root and the other is not. 27 having a cubic root. Or if you divide all of these numbers by 2, you can know the answer that you can put under here. 18 divided by 2 equal 9. 54 divided by 2 equal 27. And 16 divided by 2 equal 8. So here you know that the 18 is 9 times 2, 54 is 27 times 2, and the 16 is 8 times 2. Why 8? Because the 8 having a cubic root, which is 2. Then here, 3 root 2 plus the cubic root of 27 is 3. Take it out and drop the cubic root above the 2. And then drop this number. You don't have anything to simplify for it, so just drop negative 3 root 2 and don't forget the sign. Here it's negative, take the cubic root of 8 out, it will be 2, and the cubic root of 2 down. Here you have to take the cubes together and the square roots together. 3 root 2, and here it's negative 3 root 2, it's the additive inverse of it. You can fly them together to give you 0, so you don't have square roots now. And take the 3 cubic root 2 minus the sign here you have minus 2 cubic root of 2. You take the two numbers together and take the root out. So here it is 3 minus 2 equal 1, and 3 cubic root of 2 minus 2 cubic root of 2 give you just 1 cubic root of 2. And the 1 is not written. The question can come here as a form of proof. You can prove the question which he give you. He give you that cubic root of 128 plus cubic root of 16 minus 2 cubic root of 54, and he gave you here the result is 0. You have to prove that the result of 0 means the left hand side must equal the right hand side. So all of these numbers, when you simplify, must give you 0 at the end. Then here 128, 16, 54, all of them are even numbers, so all of them can be divided by 2. If you divide all of them by 2, you will know what is the number. And you have to check if the number that you divided here, 128 divided by 2, if you get the 64, is having a cubic root or not. 64 times 2, take the cubic root of 64, which is 4. Take it out and then drop the cubic root under the 2. And here 8, the cubic root of 8 is 2. And here 8 times 2 comes from the 16. Then here, don't forget that you have the 2 out. It's multiplied by the result, which comes from the 54. The 54 means you can separate it for the 27 and 2. The 27 have a cubic root, which is 3. Take it out. So here, 2 multiplied by the result of the cubic root of 27, which is 3. Then it will be 2 times 3, and the final result of it is 6. Means 4 cubic root of 2 plus 2 cubic root of 2 minus 6 cubic root of 2. So you can take the numbers together using their sign. 4 plus 2, 6. And 6 minus 6 equals 0. All of these numbers give you 0. And drop the cubic root of 2. And by the way, 0 multiplied by cubic root of 2 just give you 0. So here the left hand side equal the right hand side. Your proof is very well. It's done. All of these ideas are about the cube root and square root conjugates. And the last lesson here in this unit 1, I told you is the solving equation and inequality, and we studied before for the first part. But here, lesson 10 is talking about the application on real numbers. The applications here, some rules you have to study it very well and keep it, because if you don't know the rules, you will not be able to answer any questions. Questions comes complete, choose, or just questions, essay questions like that. First of all, the cube. You know that the cube shape with the solid cube having 6 faces, all of them are at the shape of a square. The face area here means the face of the cube, which is a square. Means the area of a square must be length times length or length powered by 2. The face area is the area of a square. Lateral area and total area is talking about lateral means just 4 sides. Total area 6 sides means the face area times 4 give you the lateral area. Face area times 6 give you the total area. Or just instead of face area, like I said before, you can put length powered by 2. Means lateral area can be 4L powered by 2. Total area can be 6L powered by 2. And then the volume, you take it in grade 6, that the volume side times side times side, and instead of that you can say the side length powered by 3. If you need to find the side lengths, you have 2 ways. You can take the cubic root of the volume or the square root of the face area. It's supposed about the given you have. And if you need to find the face area, you must know the lengths, or you must know the lateral area and total area. If he give you the lateral area, divide the lateral area by 4, because here it having 4 sides. If he give you the total area 6 faces means divide the faces by 6. The rules here, I have an example about it. Complete and choose any one of them. The total surface area of a cube, total means total area. Here, if you have the total surface area is 6 centimeters squared, you need to calculate the volume. or total surface area means total area. If you have the total area is given here, means to calculate the face area, or face area means length part by 2. To calculate the length part by 2, you divide the total area, as I said before, by 6. Like I said here in this part. Means here, length part by 2, 6 in here. Total area, 6 divided by 6. 6 divided by 6 equal 1. If the total area of a cube is 6, and you divide the total area by 6, you give you that the length part by 2 equal 1. But we need just length. One length will be square root of face area or square root of the length part by 2. Square root of 1 is also 1. He asked about the volume. The volume will be also 1. Why? Because the volume will be length part by 3, and the length part by 3, 1 part by 3 give you also 1. Then the result is 1. After that, if he give you the volume of the cube is 8 cubic centimeter, he just give you the volume and he asked about the area of one face from it. If you have the volume, you can have from it the length. Then the length here equal cubic root of volume, which means the cubic root of 8, which is given. Then the side length will be 2 centimeter. If you know the side length, you can know the area of one face or it's the face area. The rule we told before that the face area equal length part by 2. So face area will be length part by 2 or 2 part by 2, which is 4. Then the face area or the area of one face is 4 centimeters squared because it's here the area. After that, the cuboid having 2 partitions. The cuboid, 2 ideas, one of them is a square piece and the other one is a rectangular piece. And it depends on the shape of this cuboid. The rules are the same, it's general rules, but you change just the shape of the piece. If the piece was a square, use rules of the square. If the piece was rectangle, use rules of rectangle. The general rules of any solid will be lateral area equal perimeter of piece times height. And total area, total means all the faces, means the lateral area is the 4 faces plus the 2 face area, the 2 faces you have in the total area. But the volume will be all the time face area times height, whatever the face shape is, if it was a square or rectangle. Perimeter of face and face area are the 2 things that you can change. Instead, if you have a square face, perimeter of face is perimeter of a square. When you have perimeter of a square, make it 4 times length. Rectangular piece, use the rectangle. Perimeter of the rectangle is 2 times length plus width. About the piece area, just use the rules of area of a square or rectangle, whatever the piece shape. If the piece was a square, it will be length part by 2. If the piece was rectangle, just use length times width. And the general rules up here is written. About the sphere, the new solid that you studied this year, that the surface area of the sphere, surface area means the total area. It's just a solid which in the shape of sphere, like a ball. So it has no dimensions. So the surface area will be the same rule, 4 by r part by 2. 4 by r part by 2, the pi can be changed to 22/7, 3.14, or just keep the pi as the question asks. And volume 4/3 by r, this time it's say part by 3. So the surface area part by 2, volume part by 3. All the rules we have, volume and surface area, you can use one of them to find the other. Here he asked about, in this example, if the volume of the sphere is given 9/2 pi. When he gave you the pi here, just use the pi. Then the diameter length, he asked about the diameter. To find the diameter, you must know the radius, because the diameter equal 2 times r. So here, our target is to find the radius length. You can find the radius length from the volume which is given 9/2 pi. Volume equal 4/3 by r powered by 3. Substitute instead of the volume by 9 over 2 pi like it's given. And then 4 over 3, drop it, and r powered by 3 we didn't know, we have to know it. And then erase the pi with the other pi from the two sides to make the balance. Then here you have 9 over 2, you can move it to the other side, but you have here to divide 4 over 3 by 9 over 2 to find the radius powered by 3. The radius powered by 3 give you this result. From your calculator you can find it, it's 8 over 27. But here we don't need the r powered by 3, we just need the r. So take the cubic root of the two numbers, the numerator and denominator, it will be 2 over 3 centimeter. Here it's just the radius length, but he asked about the diameter, and because the diameter equal 2 multiplied by the radius, multiply this fraction by 2 to give you 4 over 3, then the result of this one is 4 over 3 centimeter. You have to remember that circumference or the perimeter of circle equal by d or by 2r, whatever if it's given d or r. And the area is by r squared. We use the circle for the base of the cylinder because the cylinder, its base is circular base. The cylinder we have to talk about, the cylinder having a square circular base, then using the circular base, cylinder have two bases. One of them is circle and the other one is circle up and down, and this circle having this point using a radius like that. So it's very important to know the radius length. The radius also, you must know the height of this cylinder. So all of this is the height and this one is the radius. Using these rules to find the circular here base, you must know its perimeter and its area to know the rules or the general rules we have. Its lateral area, like we said before, that lateral area is perimeter of base times height. Instead of perimeter of base, use perimeter of the circle, which is 2 by r, and multiply it by the height. Then the final rule will be 2 by r height. The total area is the same, 2 by r, and open bracket h plus r. Keep it or remember it like that. The volume by r square height, and the volume also because base area times height. Volume, if you take the base area times height, just instead of the base area, write the area of circle, which is by r square, and multiply it by height. Then it will be by r square height. In the example, he can give you the total area and ask about anything like radius or the volume or anything, or he can give you all things and ask about the total area or the volume. The same. Here he asks about the total area. We need to calculate the total area. Find the total area of a right circular cylinder with the volume is 72 pi. The pi is given here and the height is 8. If he gave you the rule of volume, use the rule of volume. The rule of volume, which is by r square height, and substitute instead of volume with the given number, which is 72 pi. Equal by, keep it, and r square we don't know it. Instead of height, substitute by 8, which is given. And then erase the pi with the other pi. Then you have in this side 72 and the other side 8 and the r powered by 2. But here 8r powered by 2 equals 72. We have, it's like the equation divided by 8. If we divide 72 by 8, it will give you 9. The radius powered by 2 will be 9, but we need just one radius. The radius will be square root of 9, which is 3. All the time you need to calculate the radius length in a sphere and circular cylinder. It's very important to calculate the radius in cylinder to know any rule of it. He asked about the total area, just write the rule and then substitute. If you know the rule, write it, 2 by r, open bracket, h plus r. When you open the bracket means multiply. The total area will be 2 by, keep it, and instead of r we put 3, means 2 times 3 times pi times the height, which is 8, the radius is 3, means here is 11. If 8 plus 3 is 11, you can make 2 multiplied by 3, 6. Keep the 11, 6 multiply 11, and drop the by. 6 times 11 will be 66 by. And the result will be centimeter square, because here it's centimeter square total area. Here he asked about the total area. Find the total area of cylinder, and he gave you the volume written using numbers but without using by. Here's another idea. If he gave you the by, drop the by. If he gave you by with the result, drop the result, which is 3.14 approximately. The volume rule is by r square height. Drop the number which you have in the question, which is 7,536 instead of volume, and instead of by, substitute by 3.14. R square, we don't know it, write it. And the height is given with 24 centimeters. Multiply the numbers together here to give you, if you multiply, use your calculator with me now to find the result. 3.14 and type it, multiply by 24, press equal, you will get the result is 75.36. The other part here, 7,536 is the volume, equal 75.36 r squared. And we need to calculate the r squared. To calculate the r squared, move the number beside it to be divided. R squared equals 7,536 divided by 75.36. The radius part by 2 will be 100, but we need the radius. Just one radius will be square root of 100. To take the square root of 100, it will be 10. If the radius length is 10, write the rule of total area and substitute for the radius by 10. 2 by r, open bracket, h plus r. 2, drop 2. By here, this one, drop it using 3.14. And multiply the radius is 10. Open bracket, h, height is 24, r, the radius is 10. And make multiply for all these numbers. If you multiply with me using your calculator, 2 times 3.14 times 10, you get the result is 62.8. And the result of the bracket here, 24 plus 10 is 34. Now multiply this 62.8 times 34. You will get the result, press equal. It will be 2,135.2. It's centimeter squared because it's total area. And this the end of lesson 10 and the end of unit 1. Now we're going to take unit 2 and unit 3 to finish the algebra lessons. These are the most vital parts included in unit 2 and unit 3. First of all, the linear relation involved ax plus by, and it must equal c. The samples here, we can substitute in this one. Find which of the following ordered pairs satisfy the relation 2x minus y and equal 1. Instead of x, we can put any two numbers instead of x and y. And these are the ordered pairs that you can put instead of x and y. If you try the first order pair 0 and 1, instead of x, if we put 0, 2 times 0 means 0, and here negative 1, it will be negative 1, this wrong 1. And then try 5 and 3. If the x was 5 and the y was 3, instead of x, we put 5, 2 times 5 minus 3. Then the result will be 10 minus 3, and that's 7, also wrong. Try the third ordered pair, which is 3. Here, 2 times 3 will be 6, and 6 minus 5 will be 1. If you try 6 minus 5, and you find it's 1, then this ordered pair is the right answer. The answer is 3 and 5. That's about the first one. Another idea, if the ordered pairs was coming here, negative 1 and 3, x and y included in the question, here he needs to satisfy the relation 3x minus y to be c. C make it minus 3. 3 multiplied by negative 1, it will be negative 3. And negative 3 make it minus 3, the result will be negative 6. Then you choose the first one, which is negative 6. So you have to multiply negative 1 by 3 instead of x, and make it minus 3 instead of y, and that's the ordered pair of it. That's about lesson 1 in the linear relation. Lesson 2 talking about the slope, and the idea all the time comes about the straight line. You have value of a, the two ordered pairs a and b. The rule of the slope must having the x and y in a and b. X and y. Here it will be x1 and here x2, y2. The rule is the change in y over the change in x. Means the difference between y over the change in x, the difference between x. And then substitute instead of each one. y2 here is 3. Make it minus. y1 in the first order pair is 2, so it's 2. Also here x2 minus x1, substitute the x2 by 3 and make it minus the x1, which is 1. Then it's 3 minus 2, 1 over 3 minus 1 is 2. The slope equal half, and the half here is a positive slope. Another type of questions, and the other part talking about representing the relation graphically. You have to make a table and then graph using the x-axis and the y-axis. Determine a point for x and then substitute to find y. So we can let x equal 0, 1, 2, just an example. You can suppose another values, but let's try 0, 1, 2 by the most simple numbers. Then, if we suppose that x equals 0, 2 times 0 minus 1, then the value of y will be, here it's 0 and 0 minus 1, y will be negative 1. So here the other number is negative 1. Also suppose that you have the y equal, instead of x, 1 to be 2 times 1 and make it minus 1. 2 times 1, 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. Then here's the value of the other y is 1. Also suppose that the value of x is 2. If we suppose that the value of x is 2, 2 times 2 will be 4, and 4 minus 1, it will be 3. So here it's 3. Here you have the ordered pairs of each point, 0 and negative 1, 1 and 1, 2 and 3. You put the points on your graph. First of all, you have to draw the x-axis and y-axis like you studied before, and then determine the points. 0 and negative 1, 0. In the x-axis here is 0, and negative 1, go down for the negative 1, put a point on it. And then 1 and 1, 1 from x, 1 from y, and put a point. And they must be collinear in the same line. 2 and 3, 2 from x and 3 from y. 2 and 3, put another point. And then connect them using a straight line to be the straight line of the slope and the relation. Connect them. And here's the relation that you represent graphically using the 3 points. That's about Unit 1. Unit 2. Unit 3 here, we have mean, median, mode, and we studied mean, median, mode before, but another part about the mean, the example we take before about the mean of set of values means here you have here, 5, 3, 7, 9, you have to make the sum of these values and then divide by the number of these values. To find the mean, you have to make the sum of all of these values, make 5 plus 3 plus 7 plus 9, and then after that divide them by their number. Here you have how many values? 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 values, and then divide. 24 divided by 4, the result is 6. Then the mean here is 6. The mean value is 6. The other part, or the new part you studied this year, is the mean of frequency distribution, and this one is the most important part here. Find the mean of these marks. You have marks in a class. The marks that 10 or more, 20 or more, 30 or more, 40 or more, 50 or more, and the frequency of each one. 10 or more, the frequency is 8, 20 or more, the frequency is 12, and so on. And you have the total of the frequency here. If you have the table using set and frequency, it means you have the x and y, but here it's called f. X and f is the frequency. If you see this table and he asks about the mean of these marks, you have to make another table to find the rule. The rule of mean is the mean of values will be summation x multiplied by f over summation of f. The summation of x multiplied by f means you have to multiply both of these two results. So you have to make a table using sets x, f, and then find the result of multiplying the x and f. The sets 10 or more, 20 or more, 30 or more, the x we find the value of the centers between the two sets here. And the center is, you can calculate the center of the first one. It's the upper value plus the lower value, which is 20 plus 10 divided by 2. The two values here is 30 and 30 divided by 2. The center of the first set is 15. Then that's the 15 we found it in x. And also the center 2 used by the same way between 20 and 30. You can find the center between 20 and 30 by making the add between 30 and 20. The 30 and 20 is the upper value and the lower value divided by 2. 50 divided by 2 means that the center of the second one is 25. You know that the length of this set is 10. Each time you add 10, 10, 10. Each time you add 10 means if you add here 10 each time, you can add also in the centers 10 each time. So you just calculate the center of the first set and then add 10 for each one. So it will be 15, 25, 45, 45, and 55, the center between 50 and 60, because here you have 50 or more, the marks which is greater than 50. You have x, you have f, and the rule says summation of x times f. So you have to make x times f to find the x times f. Multiply each one to find the result that you can use to find the total of f at the end. When you multiply all of these x times f, you find many numbers, and the total of them, when you add 120 plus 300 plus 490 plus 405 plus 385, it will give you 1,700, and you can check this using your calculators. And the total of the f given here in the table, which is 50. Divide the two values because the rule says summation of x times f, here's it. And summation of f, here's also. Divide these two numbers together to get the result, which is 34 marks. I mean, the mean mark here is 34 marks. The other one, talking about the median. The median is here the middle value of the set of values, but after arranging it, and you said this in prep 1, the medians in this values, it's not arranged, so you have to arrange the values, whatever it's repeating or not. You have here 13 repeating, never mind, and 13 write it 2 times by arranging. You can arrange ascendingly or descendingly. 13, 13. You wrote these 2 numbers, and after that, 21, 23, 24, at the end, 27. To find the median, that the numbers you can have before the number must equal the number you can have the end here. If you have 13, 13, 21, 23, the middle values you can't choose. 21, before it we have 2 numbers and after it 3 numbers. So we can choose 2 numbers, which is 21 and 23. Before the 21 and 23, you have 2 numbers and here 2 numbers also. Then, to find the median here, the median will be the sum of these 2 values, which is 21 plus 23, divided by 2, because here we have 2 values. Then, 44 divided by 2 will be 22. The median here is 22. Lastly, we talk about the mood. And the mood here is the most common value that's repeating more than 1 time. If the mood of the set of value is given here and it's 4, you have the mood is 4, is the most common value is 4. If the 4 here, 6, 2x. If the 4 is the most common value, means the 2x will be also 4. If 2x equal 4, he need to find the value of x. The value of x here, only 1x will be 4 divided by 2, which means that the 2 is the value of x. And here's the end of these 2 units, Unit 2 and Unit 3. At the end, you have to study this part, and also don't forget that you have another sources to study from it. Use this revision, your book, and your classwork. Don't forget that. Thank you.